like to start today by talking a little bit, showing you first what a lot of the students in our schools and a lot of students across America are coming in every day, experiencing these things at home and experiencing these things over the weekends, and we wanted to first start there to show you the importance of social and emotional learning.
On a daily basis, our kids are coming to school with these kinds of issues. We may not always be able to recognize them or see them or be aware of them, but this is why we feel it's important to incorporate social emotional learning into each and every one of our schools. Being able to deal with these issues right at the very beginning of the day will only enable us to reach our students that much better and that much easier.
Our students are never going to be ready to accept and be able to learn the curriculum that our teachers work so hard to give if we don't pay attention to these things and make sure that we are seeing them as the whole child and understanding that they're coming from different places and making sure that we give them a safe and secure environment to learn in.
We understand that time is an issue, planning is an issue, and it's as simple as greeting the students at the door and human contact and acknowledging students by name and telling them that you're happy to have them in class today.
One of the things I was thinking about was, again, the word unexamined, and my thought went to, is unexamined like the inexperience that I have in a situation,
I had a very similar perspective. I took it as, does this mean going through life without reflecting, without taking the time to reflect on something that has happened that would ultimately make me a better person or learn a lesson from.
Holly and Jason went more into the timing thing, because Holly started by saying, can it be too late? And then Jason was saying, when's a good time for reflection? And I was thinking, I don't think there's a specific time for reflection. There's not.
But do we ever explicitly teach students how to engage in good discussion? Hey, just kicking off a statement with a conversation with what I think kind of kills conversation, because then no one wants to disagree with you. Whereas I think Buddy said, I wonder in one of his statements. Essentially, I'm wondering, it's such an awesome discussion inviter.
Distinctive traps. You had all the paper, you got tape, you got PVC pipe, rubber bands, and thread. Some of you used a lot of the PVC pipe, I see.
A takeaway piece for Aristotle is this notion of activity and product. He said that education is always aiming towards some sort of good, some sort of knowledge. And that good is either an activity or a product, or sometimes both.
This minefield. One of you will be the guide, and the other one will be the participant that is navigating. And the way in which you will navigate is by listening to your guide's voice. Because when you are in the actual play of field here, and we will call it a minefield, you are blindfolded. At any point you touch one of these objects that are in this setting, you'll need to come back to the beginning and start again. Kant is that he wrote about education from a matter he considered a primary moral concern. He held that the greatest and most difficult problem to which man can devote himself is the problem of education. So when you think about what lies in front of us, not only do we have our own personal challenges that exist out there on those cards, which we'll take a look at as we navigate the field here, but the other thing is there's all these other issues that surround us that may not have been your number one selection, but they're still out there. And when we step on them or we get too close to them, it is like a minefield, is it not? Let's talk about some of the emotion that was around this experience, either from being in the mind as the participant that's blindfolded or as the guide. Share out a little bit of what you were feeling inside there.
Fear.
It's a tough feeling to know that you're not giving the person the most crystal clear direction that you can. Like it makes sense in your head because you're seeing it, but to them they're just following your every word, and if you don't say it the correct way,
Right.
you're starting over.
Yeah, so that execution gap. Yeah. Other thoughts?
It made me think of how I was saying things. I said something and it didn't come out correctly, so I had to restate it to make it clearer. So you were very careful in how clear your directions were.
I was going to say stress, the overwhelming feeling of stress.
It was unsettling when Gina stopped talking. When she was talking, I was totally into exactly what she was saying, but when she stopped talking and you're just standing there, that was unsettling.
To study a bit about is Maria Montessori, and that is why all of these little toys and fun things are scattered around the middle of the floor. We're going to give you about 20 minutes of free play, so find whatever you'd like, engage with whomever you'd like, work by yourself if you'd like, or play by yourself if you'd like.
I felt like it promoted dialogue and it promoted talking about things and just an open-mindedness.
I think that the best thing about the play is that you're learning from your peers.
They just go home and play video games and watch TV and everything's already imagined for them. Whereas when we grew up, we had to do all of the imagining.
I don't want to sit still, I don't want to take notes, I just want to move around. My muscles are in charge, my senses are at large, I don't want to move around. I have a lot of interest, there's a lot I want to know, I want to move around. I think I'm ready to begin, I have all of the tools, so will you let me move around? I remember when we used to learn science, teacher telling us we had to be quiet, and then John Dewey came along and said, you must talk it out. Yeah! Now we go to lesson in a foreign language, where we become conscious of our social heritage, while we are developing the skills and the phases of social life and growth. Ooh, 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 ooh. I called you on the phone last night. Ooh, 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 ooh. We focused on socializing. We are never, ever, ever going back to lecture. We are never, ever, ever going back to lecture. You go talk to your friends, talk to my friends. Our goal's the same because we are never, ever, ever going back to lecture.
You have been given a problem to solve. That's not easy, but possible. You are going to bridge the gap using 2 cups of the same height, set apart 12 inches. So it's the length of the paper plus an inch. So you're going to have to eyeball that inch. Using 3 table knives, you're going to build a suspension bridge between the 2 cups so that a salt or pepper shaker will be supported in the middle of the bridge. So you'll be using the knives to create that bridge. The inside edges of the cups must remain 12 inches apart, and no part of the bridge can touch the table if you're working at a table. No outside resources are allowed in the bridge construction. The solution is possible without damaging the equipment. Again, that remains to be keeping pepper in pepper and salt in salt. You don't need to dump them. Yes. Questions?
Yeah,